If you're thinking about moving to Kansas City, or maybe you've already made the decision, you're almost certainly familiar with Johnson County. It's ranked as the best place you could live in the state of Kansas. It's ranked as the third best county in the entire country, but is it right for you? Today's video, we're going to cover everything that you would need to know about living in Johnson County, Kansas. Where in the world is Johnson County? Well, so you know the deal. When people talk about Kansas City, most people are referring to Kansas City, Missouri. Johnson County actually falls on the Kansas side, so west of state line, and it's a big square box that's cut off by the Kansas River. It's just south and west of downtown Kansas City, and it has a lot of very quickly growing cities in it. The population is actually the second largest. There are many counties in the Kansas City metro. Number one is Jackson County, which is found in Missouri. They have about 600,000 people. Number two is Johnson County with about 550,000 people. Those are the two by far biggest counties that make up the Kansas City metro. Now, specifically, here's a picture that'll show you the populations and the sizes of the many cities that you'll find in Johnson County. Some of the biggest you'll notice are Overland Park, Olathe, Shawnee, Lenexa, Leawood, and Prairie Village. Now, specifically in any city, you'll notice whatever is very close to that downtown area, those are the homes that are generally a little bit older, right? They're a little bit closer together. They were developed first, and then as the population of the city grew, the expansion kind of goes outward. And where you'll find expansion in Johnson County is in Overland Park, Olathe, and Lenexa, even Shawnee as well. So we're expanding away from the city. That's where you're seeing all that green space in Johnson County. Now, I know we're already into the video, but I want to introduce myself in case you're new to the channel. My name's Nick Massa. I help people buy and sell homes in the Kansas City area. One of my favorite things though is when people who are looking to relocate to Kansas City, they reach out to me for help relocating. I get to hear your story, where you're at, and help you make that journey. I'd love to be a part of the process. All my contact info is below. Send me an email or let's schedule a Zoom call. We can see if we're a good fit, and we can talk about exactly what your next steps look like. Oh, and by the way, I filmed specific videos for many of these cities, so I'll link the whole playlist in case you're curious. You can check it out after this video. Now, here's the part where I'm gonna pull that external resource from niche.com so you can have a bird's eye view of exactly what Johnson County looks like based on public data and data from the census. So you'll notice that based on the report card that Johnson County has pretty good ratings across the board. There are some spots that certainly need improvement, but it is an A+ rating. Here are some of the national rankings that you'll find for Johnson County. The third best county to live in America, number 6 best county for families in America, number 10 for counties with the best public schools in America, and number 17 best county to buy a house in America. So not many counties that you'll come across that are going to check off that many boxes. So as you saw based on niche.com's rankings and at least what they had to say about the schools in Johnson County, that's one of the things that many people are attracted to Johnson County by. So here we go. We're going to get a little bit more in depth on the schools that you'll find in Johnson County. There are 6 different school districts. These school districts, by the way, are some of the best in all of Kansas, again, according to greatschools.org and niche.com. Okay, so Blue Valley, one of the best school districts, Shawnee Mission closely following, Olathe very high, DeSoto very high as well. 2 that are growing pretty quickly. You'll find them in the southern and eastern parts of Johnson County. The Spring Hill School District, it falls half in Johnson County, half in Miami County, and then you'll find the Gardner-Edgerton School District. Both of those are growing really quickly. We talked about residential expansion and how many of the cities that are growing right now in Johnson County are those with a lot of green space. Those school districts, the ratings are a little low, but what you'll notice is that they're catching up pretty quickly. I mean, Spring Hill, for instance, is opening a new elementary school every 2 years. A lot of the new construction developments in the area are actually opening up whole subdivisions with a whole school on site. But the best way that you could find a good school and determine the best one for you and your family is by, yes, reading the reviews of all of those school districts, looking at the website, making sure it's a good fit, but getting a little bit more specific. It's talking to parents of kids who are in that school district, or touring the school district and bringing your kids so you can see if it's a good fit. Are they comfortable in that atmosphere? You know, this all is entirely subjective. This is totally based on a feeling that you have when you step foot in that school district or that specific school that you're thinking about. So that's all for schools. We're going to move on to the real estate in Johnson County. So you'll see on your screen the typical home values values that you could find in Johnson County according to Zillow. Is it perfect? No, but I do think it's a good ballpark estimate. You'll see it's about $400,000, a little bit more give or take, which of course this certainly varies by city. There are some very expensive cities to live in Johnson County. There are certainly some less expensive cities that you could live in Johnson County. I'll link my video here, some of the most expensive places that you could live in the Kansas City metro. What you'll find is many of them actually fall in Johnson County. You'll notice that the 1-year value change, so the appreciation rate is just under 10%. For the entire Kansas City metro last year, it was around 14%. So this is a little bit slower appreciation than you would see across the metro area. Now, here's a graph that'll show you the home values as they increase. You'll notice that there is like a small uptick over the last couple of years in the post-COVID era, but really, if we drew a point from 2015 to 2022, it'd be a fairly straight line. I think because of everything that we've talked about previously, all of the praise that Johnson County gets, it's in demand for a reason. There's a reason so many people are moving to it. There's a reason that niche.com, all these other publications are ranking it so highly. I think it's got intrinsic value that is not necessarily reliant upon the rest of the Kansas City metro area. It is an entirely separate housing market that is insulated from some things that might affect all of Kansas City. Last up is the cost of living in Johnson County, and you've probably already heard about it. You're probably aware it's a little bit more expensive than the entire state of Kansas. It's a little bit more expensive than the Kansas City metro, and it's just slightly more expensive than the baseline for the United States. So we're going to look at some data from Sterling's Best Places or bestplaces.net. They pull all of this information from publicly accessible resources as well as the census. So here's the chart. We're going to go down it really quickly. You'll notice that Johnson County overall is only 6 points higher than the rest of the United States, but it is, about 20 plus points higher than Kansas. Now, the one thing that really stands out here, everything else is pretty comparable except for this, is the housing. That is what makes it more expensive than the baseline for the United States. I mean, you're looking at 122 versus 100 when it comes to Johnson County versus the United States, and you're almost doubling the cost of housing that is the average across the state of Kansas. But keep in mind, most of Kansas is rural areas. They're not densely populated. Johnson County is densely populated. It is close to downtown. And the reason on that graph in the beginning we saw all of that green space is because the city's still developing and it expands away from that central city proper, which is Kansas City, Missouri. So yes, it is more expensive to live here. And as a result of that, you're getting the better location next to downtown Kansas City. Again, you're getting what niche.com is ranked as some of the best schools in the entire state of Kansas, and some other perks like the roads are kept better. I think that even though the taxes are a little bit higher, which we'll discuss in a second, that you're still getting a bargain, and you have to know that when you're living there and you're paying a little bit more of the cost, that you're getting more value out of it. Now, let's talk about the taxes for a second because they are a little bit higher. Here's the graph from Sterling's Best Places that shows you exactly what that looks like. You'll notice that the economy stuff looks good. Unemployment rate is pretty low compared to the US average, but you'll notice sales tax is a little like 3% higher than the United States. Johnson County is getting rid of the tax on groceries, the county's tax on groceries, so it'll reduce it a little bit, and that can help, but yes, it is a little bit more expensive. You'll also notice that income tax is slightly more expensive as well. But again, is it really going to change the trajectory of you living in Johnson County or not? Is 1% difference in the income? It very well could. It could. But if you live in Kansas City, Missouri, you're going to pay an extra 1% of your income to support the downtown, basically downtown, because that's where all that money goes. Your money that you spend in taxes in Johnson County seems to be put to much better use. You can notice it based on the roads, the streets, and the way that the schools, the public schools, are ranked according to niche.com. Now, hopefully that answered a lot of your questions. In case it didn't, I'm here for you. I'm more than happy to help. If you're relocating to Johnson County and you're looking for some boots on the ground who can help you purchase that home, even though you're hundreds of miles away, I would love to help. All my contact info is below. Send me an email, schedule a Zoom call, and we can figure out what the best path forward for you actually looks like. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos and you don't want to miss everything about the Kansas City area, what it's like to live here, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.